Well, tonight on Right Turn Garage TV, we do a tune-up on the old Commando. Now, generally, this is something I do whenever I first get a vehicle, but as you can see, yep, there's the big green monster. Well, I'll show you, tell you that thing. Anyway, you know, I've just got a few projects, you know. Plus, there's been a lot in between, and the big red machine, and you know, building this thing, and hey, look at there, we got a heater. So now maybe I won't have to yell so loud. Nobody heard it. Nobody's down here. But anyway, this is something I usually do whenever I first get a car, just because I don't like problems. Now this is your typical passenger side, looks like wide open. And then you get to the not so gooder side, and they're down there. Then the wires, you know, they wrap all the way around to right there to your pull pack. So do yourself a favor, don't do what I did. I went to the only parts store open. Well, maybe there was a better one open. Forgot about O'Reilly's, but anyway, I did get like some cheaper wires. They're not super cheap, but I mean, they're cheaper than I wanted. I usually go with a good name brand anyway, but I did go with the OEM plugs. These Dodges seem to like Dodge double platinum, Champion double platinum plugs. I had a Hemi truck, and I talked to a lot of Dodge guys, and they say that, you know, Champion is still the one to run in a Chrysler product. So that's what I'm gonna run. So I don't know, should we start on this passenger side and get all the cussing out of the way, or should we start on the passenger side and say, man, that was nice? I'm thinking we start on the passenger side and get all them wannabe swear words just out of the way. Go ahead and, you know, I'll make sure not say them, you know, on here, because I do my best, and I don't think I have said anything yet. Hopefully not. So I'm gonna let you know if we need any specialty tools. And man, that wire loom looks like a mother Fletcher. The one thing I will tell you, these I'm ashamed to say this, these are factory wires with the exception of one. You see that gray colored one? She's been switched, just the one. Oh, wait a minute, maybe it hasn't. Maybe just the boot has. Because if you can see these lines, that's a factory mark. So that boot may have been switched, but unless somebody spent a lot of extra money to get numbered wires, if you see numbers on wires, I know it's the same for GM. If you see Packard, that's the one they used to run. I don't know if they still do or not. Packard wires, numbered on a GM vehicle, there's about 100% chance that that has not been changed. I promise you. Apparently these are numbered too. And I'm going to suggest that you take coil wires off one by one unless you go ahead and number them, because, you know, oh wait a minute, they are numbered. How about that? 2, 5, 4, 1, 3, and 6. All these dipped. Okay, well, do them one by one if you don't know what cylinder they are, right? But if you want to know, it looks like we have number 1, 2. Now this goes from front to back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And, you know, that's the way GMs are as well. Ford, I'm not so sure, because Ford is the 4-letter F word I don't want in my shop, along with the other one. So, you know, we just missed that little fella. Okay, well, we're going to get started on the passenger side, because that looks like the biggest bear of all. I mean, on the realsy, look at that. Why in tarnation couldn't you just run them over the intake like that? I mean, it's a V6. It's not like it's a show car, right? It's a daggone dirty Jeep. But anyway, we're gonna get started. I'll let you know the first thing I run into and how to route those wires just so. All right, give me just a sec. Well, I kind of like didn't go to the harder side first because I was just curious, you know, what we were dealing with besides, you know, more than likely stock wires. And I was 185% right. They're stock. And so is the spark plugs. Yep, 100 percentile. And this thing's got 181,000. So these plugs have definitely done their job. I don't know if you can tell it or not. Let's just see if I can get this right there at all where you can see it. Now, focus. Anyway, this one here, way more gooder. This one here, not gooder at all. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands that is. It's not really 100,000. I'm just saying that sucker is worn out. Look at that electrode. She's been beat up a time or 12. And the rust, yep. And the factory champion, yep. Along with the factory wires. Now let's just say, for argument's sake, you do not have the factory wires. Let's say they're aftermarket wires like these ones I'm getting ready to put on. All you do is pull them out of the package one by one and compare the wire size. It's that easy. You want to get the closest to the actual wire that you can. If you have an wait, whoa, where'd you go? There you are. If you have an LS, you don't have to worry about this. All of them, I think, are the exact same size. And they're easy. Okay, now, I'll tell you this much. It's kind of easy to tell which side's your passenger side and which side's your driver's side. So, go ahead and separate them. Put those over here somewhere like that. These ones over here. Now, we want to find number dose wire. And I'm just going to bet she is. And I ain't gonna lie, the cheaper they are, the more they don't match as far as total length. But I'm gonna say that one right there is the number 2. Now, if you did what I did, and you yanked all of them off of there, hopefully you took a white, and got me right in the hip. You took a white paint marker and you marked it. Number 2, number 4, number 6, number 5, 1, and 3. So, number 2 goes right there. And your long boot goes down to the cylinder. Makes sense, right? So, now I wish the passenger side was already this easy, because it looks like it's going to be like fun. Especially since, did you look at the threads on these suckers? I mean, there's 184 threads on that. That's ridiculous. Why? Why? Anyway, so you just do that for the following wires, and really the only thing you might need to remember, you might want to mark these boots on the very ends right here with your paint marker on the passenger side, because they go all the way around back here and you might lose track. So on the ends of these, you might want to mark 5, 1, and 3, or whatever numbers they are. That way, so whenever you loop them around, you aren't backtracking saying, dang it, which one was this? because it's going to happen, I promise you. I have messed up the firing order at least 784,000 times, close to that, or maybe at least 27 or 28. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up this easy side since I did that. These plugs, I'm not sure if you gap them or not. I'll tell you the truth, I didn't even look. Most of them come gapped anymore and you don't touch them. This one, I don't see a gap on them. Ask your part specialist at the counter. More than likely it'll say whatever. The only thing you want to make sure, if you drop one, check that electrode. That absolutely will give you a misfire bigger than crap. And then you just gap it anyway. You take one of your brand new plugs, don't go off the old ones, and just slide it around until it stops. That'll give you around, like, I think these are probably, if I'm just guessing, 50 thousandths or so. And since I put this in here, I have no idea where anything is. So anyway, you're just going to have to take my word for it. Just take your gauge, slide it around to wherever, 30, 40, 50. Don't force it on there. You don't have to. Just slide it around where it stops, slide it back off. Don't pry on it, because then you change your gap. And then that'll tell you what it should be if you drop one. Other than that, I don't see a gap. I'm sure you can find it on the internet. Honestly, I'm looking, I don't see any. So I probably should have asked. I usually ask, hey, what's the gap on those plugs? And generally they'll tell you. But if you got a question, just get a plug gapper. Check it yourself. See what they said at factory. Google it, see what the factory plug gap should be on a 09 JK Jeep with a 3.8 Power Master in it, you know. But anyway, I'm gonna throw this easy side together, and then I'm gonna get started on that real fun side. So I think the first step I'm gonna do is unplug every one of those, and then I saw at least one wire loom or wire holder thing right in here somewhere. I'm going to disconnect that, go around to this passenger side, and I think I saw at least one, probably two, or 12. They love them. And undo those first, and hopefully we can get to the plugs relatively not so hard. And then if you need help, like let's just say you're 5'7" on a good day, you can take your shorter than you 500 with you, and it helps. At least, you know, not so tall fellas like myself. Anyway, been talking enough. It's actually warming up in here. I wanted to see. It has warmed up. It was 42 when I come in here, so it's warmed up 5 degrees in, well, an hour. So it's not, I mean, it's not horrible, but I think the ceilings really helped. Whenever I get the walls, I know it'll help, like, tremendously. So anyway, I'm gonna get back to work, and I'll let you know what the first thing I come across and how I do this. All right. Well, I'm not gonna lie, passenger side, not really that bad. 5 minutes, I had all those changed. I probably should have mentioned this. You're either going to need 2 6-inch extensions for the driver's side. That way so you don't have to lean all the way in there over top of all this brake stuff and whatnot. Makes it a heck of a lot easier. For this side, you're going to need a 3-inch extension. Now me, I also have one of these iconic type nice long ratchets, and that really helps whenever you need to put some torque to her. And these wires, they like fed out of there really easy. Like, I'm really hoping they feed right back in. They slide over parts of the valve cover, it looks like right there, there, and there. They slid over on the driver's side, or I'm sorry, passenger side, and these slid right through the back of the intake like that. It really, I mean, honestly, I wiggled like this much and went, and she come right through. Here's a good part about this. I don't know if you guys can see it. Number 1, number 3 wire. It tells you where to put the daggone wire. 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5. Guess what? 1, 3, 5. Actually, 5 comes completely over here. So that's where you're going to want to pay attention. This very last one. And this may be a not so factory one. I'm thinking this is not factory. This is an aftermarket deal, I'm betting. Just because it's different looking. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Because it's not numbered and the rest are. Either way, take these clips apart. And that's very easy. You can take a flathead screwdriver, if I can find mine. I have at least 2. And then you just, let's see, where's the clips at? You flip it over on the back side. Whoop. Oh, whoa. You see that little clip right there? You just lift up on him. Lift up, kind of push back a little bit. You say, come on now. Get out of there. But anyway, it's really hard to do. Balance this camera that way so you guys can see it. But I promise you. Okay, here's one up top. Here, like, let me borrow you there, bud. All right, so right here on the end, like this. Get up underneath, lift up. Oh, come on now. The old stubborn mule. Well, anyway, you might have to do one of... There we go. Right like that. What I had to do is kind of slide in like this and twist the screwdriver. You know what I mean? You go in, slide it, and whoop, twist like that. And that'll pop every one of those. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure them out. Actually, no, I'm not. Yeah, I am. Yeah. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the boot just like I said I would on the ones going to, and these ones here. I'm also going to reuse these. This is here to protect your wires from heat, from getting burned. If it burns anything, it'll burn these first. So hopefully it will protect your wires, and it doesn't look like 181,000 of neglected miles. These things are still not hurt. So I'm going to reuse those because they're not hurt. There's no sense in buying new ones. I'm going to reuse all these clips, these factory clips. I'm going to do it the right way. I'm going to put it back the way it was, because that way apparently doesn't burn any wires. So if you do it that way and you measure it out exactly or close to exactly the way they have it here, I'm going to run my wire, and I'm going to set it up here right next to this one, and as I pull this wire, I'm going to slide the other one in. That way, to ensure that I have almost the exact same length of the wire sticking on the passenger side over to the driver's side coil pack. That way, so one side's not like, oh man. Because once you get them clipped in there, you ain't gonna be able to slide them so easy. So that's what I would recommend. And yeah, I'm just gonna pop those clips. If you do happen to break these do break, take you a zip tie and go around. You can just wrap it around, zip, cut the edge off, and it's gonna hold it just the same as that clip. Like I say, these things have been exposed to heat for nearly 200,000 miles. I mean, it's 181,000 miles. So they're probably brittle, they're plastic, crap happens, right? So if the wire looms, if they decide that they're bad, then hopefully you have some. Try to salvage as much as this as you can, or look for your most probable areas and use it there. If you don't see an area down here where it'll be a big problem, but you see one up here, use it here rather than here, you know? A little bit of common. So I did, by the way, look up the spark plug gap. These plugs, these worn plugs, those are 70 thousandths. I know because I measured it with my measuring stick. Where in the world is that? It right here. So if you've never gapped plugs, daggone it. Stay, sit, stay. Start on the smallest end of this scale, and you slide her. Oh, I'm sorry, it's almost at 75. No, yeah, almost at 75 thousandths. So the factory gap on these, just so you know, is 50 thousandths. And some of you are saying, that don't sound too bad. Believe me, that's horrible whenever it comes to these plugs. I'm actually a little ashamed of myself for not doing a tune-up first. I should have. I recommend that everybody do at least a pre-maintenance. I don't like breaking down. I don't like car trouble. I am sure I'll get a lot better performance out of this now with these wires replaced and those factory plugs being replaced, being set at the right calibration. It's going to be wonderful. Another little trick that I do, you're going to notice it's hard to get these daggone plugs way down here, right? So what I do, I have a piece of 3/8 hose, and I just threw that plug away. I'll show you on an old one. So all I simply do is that right there. This is an old trick that I was taught, and shove her in a cylinder, and believe it or not, that thing right there, whenever she bites, it doesn't matter how much this wiggles, because the plug will be straight. You can't cross thread them like that. It won't let you. If you get to a little tough spot, you wiggle a little bit and it'll go right in. So I used this long piece. It's probably roughly a foot long on the driver's side, and I just didn't want to cut this hose. That's why I used that, and I had it laying around the shop. Surprise, surprise. However, the driver's side, you don't have that extra room. You can't even finagle. I mean, look at that. Just look at it. There's not a lot of room. So I said to myself, what am I going to use? That piece of hose is my favorite to use, but I don't really want to cut that up in case I need it. But you have a perfect, it fits right on the spark plug wire. You don't need it again because it come off your junk spark plug wires, right? You just rip the boot off. That fits perfectly. So you do that, shove it on the end, you thread that sucker right in on every stinking one of these ones, and it makes it so much easier. Now if you really want, you can use this on the driver's side. You just got to reach down there further. Passenger side, you don't have quite the space. That's why I say a smaller spacer, or spacer, smaller little rubber piece there to thread it in, shorter adapter. You know, it just makes life easier. You just don't have the space that you do on the driver's side. So I'm gonna tighten these down, run these wires back the way it was, and then I'm gonna see how easy it is to feed it back through, because it didn't seem that awful bad. Hopefully it's not. Be right back in a sec. So easily, hands down, bar none, the hardest part about this whole job is those stinking wires you gotta fish. Right back there, the back of the intake. Keep them all together, tape them together if you have to. I did not, but I did do myself a big favor. Remember I told you you would have to, it'd be good to mark them? Well, I simply marked them with a permanent marker, which wasn't very permanent, but it was permanent enough. I marked the jacket that it was in. Thankfully this one, number 5, was gray. I remembered that. And I marked that, and I marked the boot in like 4 different spots. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one I could originally see a 3 on. Can't see it too much anymore. But just to be a good sport, I'll start it up and I'll show you. Now, I did not pre-start this, I promise you. Is everything back together, hopefully? Looks like it. So, oh, that's another thing. Let me get this light again. Because that's on it. These boots look extremely similar as far as to the coil and to the spark plug, right? Spark plug, coil pack. Okay, I don't think they'll interchange. I seriously doubt it. This one right here is pretty shallow. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very disappointed in myself for just thinking this thing was a mutt. So let's just... She sounds, honestly, way more gooder. Like, this thing's happy. I can tell you, with the exception of that stinking low tire light. So, I'm kind of anxious to drive this tomorrow to work now. I've been driving a lot, and I noticed that she was losing a little more power than, I mean, granted, I don't know how many people have Jeeps out there, but they're everywhere. They're actually not bad at all to work on. Like I say, these 3/8, the worst part, and I wish I had a better clue to try to tell you how to fish them back there. Just, the only thing I can tell you is try to keep them close together. Hopefully you have small hands, or, you know, a little bit of ingenuity about you. Keep them within the wire loom, that's for sure, because that will help you. Absolutely reuse those wire protectors. And absolutely, before you take them apart, measure them out, you know, because if you put them on here like this, you've got a problem, Jack. You're not going to reach the coil or the spark plug one, and once they're run behind that motor, that's going to be a real doozy. That being said, guys, I'm real glad I did this, because one, it's starting to get pretty daggone cold. The heater's been running for like an hour and a half or so, and I should have did a daggone show on that, because that was a learning experience. That sucker there, I mean, whew, hopefully it's a good one. It's a big old 80,000 BTUH. There's the other one, and it's not bad. It all come down to a thermostat. Lesson learned, that's all I can say. Just lesson learned. So nonetheless, that is how you tune up a JK Jeep. Like I say, the plugs with 50 thousandths, if you want to double check your gap, it isn't going to hurt anything. If you drop one, double check your gap. I don't care if it's in the box and you drop it. These things didn't have little plastic sleeves on them. Double check your gap. And this thing, honestly, the driver's side, real easy, and the passenger side looks more intimidating than it actually is. Like I say, the worst part is the daggone wires. Put them in, the loom was easy. Sliding them through there was a little pain in the butt. It probably took me 10-15 minutes to get it slid through. That's not horrible. It's not great, but I mean, it's not horrible. So I can definitely live with that. And hopefully this was helpful to you guys. I would absolutely recommend the Champion Double Platinum. Apparently they'll last 180,000 miles, or 81, you know, whatever. Hopefully this helped you guys. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate every one of you. We've made to 75 fans, or subscribers at least, you know. Maybe people just like to get a good joke. But anyway, We're going to jump back on the convertible this week. Hopefully wrap up the transmission part, and then we're going to, but you know, that's another endeavor. I'll tell you all about that and why we're switching it. And then of course we got the turbo beetle. That's, I think it was like one of my first, second, third shows, somewhere in there. It's the green monster for a reason. If you guys work on Volkswagens, good for you. Them things are tough as nails to work on. But anyway guys, that concludes this one. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. And if you don't mind, oh, is it down? Yep, somewhere. That old subscribe button. If you don't mind to hit it, it's free. Get a cheap laugh, and hopefully this helps you, you know? Hopefully you either learn to or not to do something. I appreciate you guys for watching. Have a great weekend. Join me back on Right Turn Garage TV.